Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. It is a glorious day today. Nice and warm. Sun codes coming in. I'm sitting out here with my lovely little Arwen. Don't know if you can see her here. And we're getting some sun codes. And I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit because today is the most super of super full moons of 2024. We are in full moon energy. This is the Hunter moon. And I wanted to talk just quickly. Hunter moon is because this is the time of the year here traditionally in Canada when the leaves all begin to fall. And so hunters their prey is exposed. They're not hidden as well because the foliage, all the things that used to keep things hidden have fallen. And so it's exposed. And so my question to you is, what is being exposed in this full moon energy? What is being exposed for me is a new, another deeper level of awareness in regards to toxic communication. And I did some writing the other day on Facebook called Clusterfuck Communication, where I outlined some of the red flags and green flags of communication. And one thing that I have experienced throughout my life, because I was raised in a narcissistic household, is any number of toxic and manipulative communication styles that always left me kind of like, what's going on? That in combination with what comes with narcissistic communication is all in attempts to negate or shut down your feeling centers. So on this journey, I've been talking a lot. There is a playlist called Emotions. I've been talking a lot about feeling your emotions. You need to feel it to heal it. But it doesn't just end there, because once you start allowing yourself to feel things, the second thing is we live in a society. We don't live in a bubble, although it certainly feels like a bubble if you're on an awakening path, because hermiting energy is very much a part of it. But stage two in this healing that we're going through, first we learn that it's safe to experience our feelings. Then we learn that it's safe to express our feelings and communicate our feelings. And then we see how the communication pans out. So I was observing recently, I was feeling certain things. I expressed those feelings, and then I observed how my feelings were being received. So 1, 2, 3 step. And that helped me identify some and take notice. It was exposed that certain energies were at play that I was not too fond of. So I wanted to talk today a good bit about toxic communication, because a lot of people don't know what that is. Especially if you have gone through life repressing your feelings, not expressing your feelings, and anytime you did, having them negated. Which is what narcissistic individuals are exceptionally amazing at, is negating your feelings in any number of ways to leave you in that feeling of like a total clusterfuck. Like, what is happening? What is going on? I'm so confused. Why is nothing getting solved? Why am I not feeling heard? Are my feelings not valid? And start questioning. You go down a loop of questioning yourselves extremely. So I want you to think about a couple of questions before I get into this list when it comes to your feelings. Are your feelings valid? Well, the answer to that is always yes. If you're feeling like your feelings aren't being validated, then that's a flag. Are my feelings reasonable? Am I acting from a reasonable space? Like, can I sit down and sit with this for an hour or a day? And, are my feelings coming from a place of trigger? Are my feelings coming from, and even if they are coming from a place of trigger, what is that trigger bringing up? What is it communicating? Where is the logical observance of what those feelings are doing? So, second question, are my feelings reasonable? Am I overreacting? Well, that's another question to sit with and ponder and allow yourself to be, because yes, sometimes when you're in a trigger, you're coming from an overreaction because you're responding from child mind. So am I responding today, or am I responding from a place of like yesterday or 10 years ago or 12, 12 or like 40 years ago, when I was 12, perhaps? Are my feelings being acknowledged? Do I feel heard as I'm expressing my feelings? And are my feelings being mirrored back to me? Like, oh, yes, I can understand why you would feel like that. That makes sense. Those types of things are validating types of communication styles. Is my perception accurate in this situation? Am I viewing this from an accurate or am I viewing this from a distorted place? And now this, if you've experienced a lot of narcissistic abuse, is one that you might find really challenging because your perception is constantly being manipulated. And we'll get into that in the red flag communication list. And then, is something off? Do I feel like something's off? Feel your feelings in your body. Like, what? Something's not sitting right. I'm not stomaching this. This isn't adding up. Something's, amiss. If those types of questions, those are all flags. So let's go through my flag list. And listen, this is going to be a longer video, so maybe YouTube will chop it up as it normally does into categories for us. I'm going to start with my red flag communication numero uno, the one that I absolutely hate the most, that is an absolute hard no for me, which is gaslighting. I have done videos in the past about gaslighting. Hop on in to the Narcissistic Abuse playlist if you're looking for more videos on gaslighting. Gaslighting, in my opinion, is the most insidious and cruel thing any human being can do to another human being, because what it does is it robs them of their sense of reality. It's constantly shifting the narrative so that the way you are perceiving the world around you and your experiences is called into question. Now, it can be very overt or it can be quite covert in nature, because gaslighting can sound very obvious, like, that's not what I meant, I was just joking with you. There's an immediate degree switch, or it can be a lot more subtle in rescripting and just slightly turning it in a direction that makes somebody question, well, hey, is my intuition off? Is my perception off? Is my version of reality off? The background for gaslighting is a movie from the 40s, the 1940s or 50s. One or the other. And the husband in the movie was continually turning down the gas lamps, and then the wife would say, is it dark in here? No, it's not dark in here. And so she, over time, went crazy because she thought she was experiencing things that he kept telling her she wasn't experiencing, and she ended up into a psych ward so that he could be free to go and have his own life. There's an easier way to do that. It's called divorce. Yes, being upfront and honest and just saying what is a lot easier way to get your needs met. But there seemed to be a sick pleasure with toxic individuals to twist things in a way that manipulate somebody's perception. And to steal somebody's reality is to steal somebody's safety, security, and sense of self. And that's why I say it's the most insidious of all red flag communications. If you want to know more about gaslighting, there's tons of videos out there that give you lots of examples of that. But just wonder, if you're asking the question, wait a second, why is my reality and their reality two totally different realities? That could be a bing, bing, bing major alarm going off that gaslighting is at play. Number 2, deflection. Is when somebody's always throwing something back. So it's like that game of Pong. So you say something to them in regards to, could you just tidy up your room, please? Why do you always have to come at me? So now we're no longer talking about the room. We're now talking about why you always have to come at me. So they've deflected it back and banged it back at you to like misdirect you off the original topic. Number 3, defending. If somebody is taking up a stance of continually defending themselves, that's not what I meant. That's not what I did. That's not, I'm not like that. Why do you, so a highly defensive person is definitely a red flag because, again, you're no longer able to talk about the original issue of whatever it is that you're addressing or attempting to address if they're constantly defending themselves and saying, you're attacking me, you're doing this, why are you coming? So it's a defensive stance, and you can't get past somebody's defenses if they've got themselves in a defensive position. Communication will ultimately just turn into a war as opposed to resolving anything. So if the goal is problem solving and you're constantly wondering, why am I never getting any of these problems solved? Instead, I'm constantly, warding off these alternate attacks that are coming at me because they're acting so defensive, then that is a warning. Number 4, guilt tripping. I personally hate this one as well. Well, I really don't like any of these, to be honest with you, but guilt tripping is a way to turn the tables so that even though you're the one that is hurt, because of something that has happened, the tables are being turned around and you're being prodded to elicit some sort of empathy. Now, as an empath, this has been something that I have noticed throughout my life, is how my empathy can be weaponized and used against me. And that is a huge alarm bell ringing when all of a sudden I'm presenting to somebody feelings of hurt, and they're turning it around so that I should be feeling sorry for them. When all of a sudden I'm wondering, okay, wait a second. So that's kind of like a combination of a little bit of gaslighting tied in with guilt tripping of, you should feel sorry for me because, and so guilt tripping is a way to elicit an emotional response from somebody so that you put down your own concerns and soothe the other person. So when you've come to a situation, you're like, hey, I need some validation, I need some soothing, I need some comfort, I need some clarification. And all of a sudden, you're giving all of those things to the other person instead of receiving any of them. That is a very big flag. Number 5, manipulation, direct manipulation. All of these are manipulative, but manipulation can play out any number of ways. And if you're feeling when you walk away from a situation that you have been it's more a feeling in your body where you feel like you've been like a Rubik's Cube, all twisted up and everything's all confused again, then you need to watch out for overt or covert ways of manipulation. Twisting is a form of manipulation. It's also a form of gaslighting. It's a little bit more subtle, where gaslighting can be more direct and say, you're just too sensitive, you're overreacting, you're this. So accusatory. Twisting is a little bit more subtle in regards to having the story rescripted or having the situation reframed. And if you're constantly in a reframing, like the story, and my mother was particularly good at this because she was an adept storyteller, and so she could rescript the story and come out with a whole new story that was illogical and often made no sense, but once the story was out, that was it. It was firm, and you're like, none of that was what was happened. That's not how that played out. So if you feel like you walk away from a conversation going like a little bit like a pretzel, then you've been twisted. Blaming is an outright of turning it around and projecting onto the other person the fault or the blame of the situation of, well, I wouldn't have done this if you hadn't have done that. You know, if you weren't always like this, then I wouldn't have to do this. So blame is taking zero accountability for something and throwing it back into somebody else's court as being the main reason to do this. Blaming is something that is particularly used in reactionary abuse. So somebody will do something that incites a response. And then it can be like, look, see, I told you, look at you. You've got an anger management problem, or you've got this. It's your fault. You're the one that's unstable. And so blaming is a way to shift the onus of accountability from the doer onto the receiver. Shaming is yet another insidious communication tactic, which is to make somebody feel bad about themselves, unworthy, undeserving, all of these types of energies. And narcissists like to project their shame onto other people because they don't want to own it themselves. So anything shameful is going to be projected back outwards. I did a video a while back with a piece of artwork of mine where I showed two individuals trapped in a codependent toxic relationship where there was a tube of energy that flowed out of the person and back into the person. And so it's almost like oftentimes narcissistic individuals use another individual, often an empath, to filter their own shame. So they project their own shame out and they absorb in all the adoration. So shame gets projected into the other, and you are going to give me back adoration because I don't own any of this shame. It's not mine. You should be shameful. You should why are you even addressing this issue? And, I've told you in many, many videos, I ultimately, throughout my life, felt like trash because I had been shamed so much. There's so much shame we carry with us. If you have been in an abused position with a narcissistic individual. And there's an excellent book that I highly recommend if shame is one of your issues, which is The Shame That Binds Us. I highly recommend that. Look, we're getting so warm today, I'm even going to be able to take this off, which is heavenly. Lying. Outright lying is a definite flag for communication, and one that I have a real issue with. And because I don't believe in categorizations of some lies are acceptable. A lot of people out there in society seem to have this belief that white lies are acceptable. Well, I don't want to make them feel bad, so I'm going to say this white lie or that white lie. Yeah, all lies are bad. Absolutely all of them. If I would looked bad in a pair of trousers, I would much prefer somebody said to me, listen, those trousers look like crap on you, than say to me, yeah, they're okay, they're nice, they're not that bad. And, any of these, that to me are white lies, and white lies are just as dangerous, especially to throat chakra energy, because you're making, again, through lying, you're taking away reality. You're taking away what is. So if you live your life thinking that white lies are just a-okay, rethink about that, because if you're white lying to other people, you're white lying to yourself, and you're lying. And if you're lying, you're not in authenticity. Bigger lies, more concocted lies, obviously have the power to do a lot more damage. When I was told that my entire marriage was a lie, and that he had never actually loved me, my entire reality crumbled. Like, my world fell apart. Everything that I had once believed became... It affected everything else. So if you can't be trusted because you're communicating through the use of lies to get your immediate gratification of something, you're ultimately stealing from yourself as well as the other person long-term gratification, because you're not living a life of truth and authenticity. So all lies are not acceptable to me. Projection is, I've sort of talked a little bit about this in regards to blaming and shaming, but projection is when I take what I did and I'm going to throw it onto other people. And interestingly enough, I have come to learn that oftentimes narcissistic individuals project and or confess themselves through their projections onto other people. So I always listen now to what people accuse me of or what people accuse others of, because in hearing what people are accusing others of, you hear it's like little micro confessions. They give themselves away. It's almost it's kind of crazy to me. For example, my ex used to tell me about this woman at his work that multiple people were having affairs with, and doing things in the back of vans, and it turned out he was talking about himself. So he's projecting onto somebody else what he himself was doing. I've had another situation where somebody accused me of being a certain way, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's what you are. Okay, now I got it. When we were kids, we used to learn that expression, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? And that kind of comes into play and is actually a very useful thing, because if somebody is projecting onto you, so you're so judgmental, you're vindictive, you're cruel, you're this. If you're getting a lot of this, the old adage of one finger pointing out and three fingers point back in is like little micro confessions. So I always pay very much attention to what people the statements that people project outwards, because oftentimes those are fragments of their truth that they're not, that they're twisting. Of course, they're not taking ownership of that. That's my truth, but they're saying little truths in indirect ways. So you have to be very astute at paying attention to what it is that people actually are saying. Number 11 is eliciting empathy or playing the victim. And I talked a little bit about that, with, I think it was self-pity I talked about. But if you find yourself in a situation where all of a sudden they are playing the victim role and recasting you as the bad guy, all the time, so that you feel bad for them because of what they're going through, or there's some one-upmanship, you're experiencing something and you're like, oh, I've had a really bad day at work, this happened to me, this happened, oh my God, that's nothing compared to what happened to me. You should hear my story. And so here you were sitting in an energy of, wanting some empathy to come towards you, and all of a sudden you're like being turned around and going, oh yes, I should empathize with you more because your situation's bigger or worse or anything like that. So pay attention to when you're being pulled into comfort and care. And listen, it's my natural way of being to be like caring and compassionate for other people. But on this healing journey, we have to learn self-love and self-compassion and self-awareness. So when we start to observe that we're giving and not receiving, and empathy is one directional, that's a flag. Arguing, if everything that you say has a comeback and it just turns into an argument and gets exacerbated to higher and higher levels, and you're no longer even talking about the original thing that you were talking about, there's no winning. It's like playing a never-ending game of tennis of walloping this and walloping that and walloping this, and arguing leads to shouting and yelling and a whole bunch of things that is non-effective in any type of conflict resolution and or problem solving. Anytime that you have a feeling and you express it, the point is you're trying to solve a problem. And so if problems go from being a small conversation into from molehills to mountains, and you never get anything of the original thing resolved, then you ultimately will get to a place where you stop communicating and you just give up. And I used to do that all the time because the smallest things could turn into an argument, absolutely the smallest. It was head wrecking. So I was just like, ugh, I'm just not even going to bother. Like, there's just no point, because I don't like arguing. I don't like loud communication. I don't like somebody raging at me, certainly. If somebody's raging at you, that's arguing to the nth degree, designed purposefully to shut you down. Next up, I want to talk about stonewalling, or shutting the conversation down. And stonewalling is when you just, it's like you hit a wall. You feel like you're banging your head against a wall with somebody, because there's just no option to communicate. Maybe they're like, I'm not talking about this right now, I'm going to go play video games, or I'm going to bed right now, therefore the conversation's closed. And so you're like, it's a way to silence you. And then what happens with stonewalling or shutting the conversation down is they come back later on and expect the situation to be just dropped and over and resolved, even though nothing ever was resolved. It was just shut down. So if you're being silenced, be aware that's a form of stonewalling. Silent treatment is another tactic in which toxic individuals try to shut the conversation down, is simply by not responding to you. So this falls into the realm of ghosting, and I think it's cruel and unnecessary to just turn and say, yeah, I'm offer an explanation, and then if that's it, that's it. But, offer an explanation. To disappear with no explanations is very hurtful to individuals, and just maybe it's not as extreme as ghosting. Maybe in your relationship, they just don't talk back. Hey, what's going on? Talk to me. Yeah, I'm fine. And then they turn and walk away, and you're like, okay, obviously something's not fine, but you're not communicating anything to me. So if somebody is withholding information, that's a form of silent treatment, and it's a way to steal back the power dynamic, and not, again, there'll be no resolution if one person isn't even coming to the table. You got to look at it like two people coming to the table to negotiate conflict resolution, and if there's only one person at the table, it's not going to resolve any conflicts. Judging. If somebody is in a position where they're harshly critical and judging, well, criticizing and judging are similar but slightly different. So those were actually one right after each other, because judging is an interpretation of how you are showing up, whereas criticizing is more a put down added to it. It's an even lower level of judging. And so be aware that if every time you go to a situation, you're put down for it, you're criticized for it, you're put into the role of being admonished. If this is the energy that's coming at you, like you all of a sudden feel like you're talking to a teacher, and you're getting in trouble because you showed up 15 minutes late to class or something like that, and the power dynamic is them above you and you below them. That is a very off-center power grab, and power grabs are really, at the end of the day, what a narcissistic person or toxic person is all about. Is I want to have all the power, and I want you to have none. With criticizing comes into a couple other branches of criticizing, because you can have overt criticisms, like you're too fat, or you talk too much, or you don't talk enough, or why do you do that with your face, or why do you stim, or like those types of overt criticizings. You can also have more insidious criticisms that come in the form of name calling. If somebody is calling you names, that's a hard no. That's exit stage left immediate for me. I don't tolerate anybody calling me names. I don't care if they're cutesy or whatever. Oh, you stupid bitch. No. That's not how we have a conversation, even if it's all lighthearted. Absolutely no name calling. You shouldn't be calling yourself names, and you shouldn't be calling other people's names. Come on, we should have learned that in elementary school. But the problem is there's a lot of people who have wounded children that are still active and find that in their adult years, it's cutesy to call their wife or partner, you asshole. I've heard couples communicate, and I'm like, why are you calling each other assholes? That's a horrible thing to call each other. Why don't you call each other like something nice? Because immediately that's like, and that is insulting. Whether you mean it funny or not, it's insulting. Which brings into insulting through the use of sarcasm, and sarcasm is a hard no for me as well, because there's always a small little element of truth lodged into something humorous, and if you're using humor to bring somebody down, that's not an energy that is productive for healthy adult, spiritually mature conversations. So if sarcasm is at play, be aware that is not complimentary, and it is not fun, because there's always somebody that's the butt of the joke, and that if the butt of the joke is always you, then you can't have balance. Again, your power dynamic is going to be out of whack. I also want to talk about backhanded compliments, because backhanded compliments are something my mother was particularly amazing at, where it sounds like it could be a compliment, but on the other hand, it's actually an insult. For example, a backhanded compliment might sound something like, you'd look really pretty if you wore some makeup. So there's a compliment in there that says you'd look pretty. There could be prettiness, but you don't look pretty when you don't. So it's like there's a compliment insult, and my mother used to say that one to me all the time. So be aware of a backhanded compliment when it sounds like something good just happened, something bad just happened, something good just happened, something bad just happened. What is it? I don't understand. I talked already about sarcasm, but being made fun of. If somebody's always, poking jokes at you and using you as the material for their roasts and find that funny, in the comedy world, roasts are notorious for being used of celebrities and particularly funny. But you shouldn't be the roast all of the time. If you are being served with the dinner, then there is a flag, and you need to reconsider your involvement with this person, because scapegoats are scapegoats. They're not supposed to be scape roasts. But lamb is particularly delicious. So if you're feeling like the black sheep, make sure that you're not being served for dinner on the Sunday family dinner table, and everybody's having a good old chuckle at your expense. Number 18 is aggressive communication, and I talked a little bit about that, but aggressive communication can come in with an aggressive stance coming at you, and non-verbal bodily cues of puffing themselves up in front of you. It can come out with the pitch and the tone of somebody's voice, because if they're particularly high, squealing or raging or, guttural, like, and I've had that in my face, and it's intimidating, and that's what it's for, is to intimidate you and shut you down. I'm going to overpower you by my physical presence, by my pitch and tone and loudness of voice, and I'm going to say things that are particularly like derogatory and aggressive in stature, like, get out, you don't know what you're talking about. Very aggressive communication is never going to resolve anything. All it's meant to do is minimize you, devalue you, and disable you to the point where you become silenced. Love bombing, I'm adding into this, which includes and ties into breadcrumbing, because what sometimes is done in communication with a toxic individual is they'll sprinkle a little bit of love bombing into the conversation. So they'll be insulting you or making fun of you or devaluing you or minimizing you, and then all of a sudden, boom, but I love you. But you're the most important person in my life. And then they go back to stonewalling you, any of these types of things. And I didn't talk about minimization or devaluation actually on the list. So, oh no, it's coming up. So yes, love bombing or breadcrumbing is when they throw in a bomb of something like the most beautiful thing you've ever wanted to hear. Like, you're the most important person in the world to me. Now, why do you always go to, So when the words aren't matching the rest of the conversation, or the words aren't matching the behavior. So, for example, they might be off cheating on you and coming home late at night, in the middle of the night, every night, and you're like, why are you doing this? Why are you never home? I want to spend some time with you. I miss you. And I love you more than anything, but and then the behavior doesn't change. So I always remember the sentence, words without actions is manipulations. So when the words and the actions don't match, it's manipulation. So that's an example of, love bombing or breadcrumbing, some beautiful sentiments mixed in with some of any of the other bullshittery in there. And then you're like, but wait, what? If you love me, why are you behaving this certain way? Right? There's the question to ask there. If the behavior is flagging that is not in a way that is genuinely respectful or loving or kind or caring or any of those types of energies, you might be getting love bombed. Minimizing or devaluing. Minimizing is when your issues are made small, your feelings are made small, your anything is made small, your existence is made small. Because the smaller you are energetically, the more they take up, the more space they take up. I'm going to make you feel small and less than. You're not good enough. You're too this, you're too that. You should do this differently. You should do that differently. So nitpicking at you and bringing you down to size so that they can be in that position of like, yeah, I got this whole situation like under my control and under my thumb. So be very aware that if you're starting to feel smaller and smaller and smaller, like a smaller version of yourself until you're so friggin' tiny that you've lost your sense of identity, then you've been under a devaluation attack for an extended period of time. And it happens subtly and over time. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to have one experience of minimization and you're going to shrink into nothingness. No, it's insidious because it happens over time. Less energy is put into you over time. Less availability is provided for you over time. Less, communication is afforded to you over time. Less, checking in, showing up, caring, all of these things happen slowly decline. And as it's slowly declining, you are feeling smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the relationship. And the last one that I'm adding on here, which is one that you may not find on other videos like this, is the inappropriate use of scripture. This one is particularly triggering for me, and I'm not entirely sure why, other than I find it the most irritating form of communication ever. The point of scripture is to uplift and guide us, and if we are actually paying attention to scripture. And listen, I wasn't raised in the church, but I do very much find all religious texts to hold insight and value to them. And anyone who has read the Bible knows that there's over 30 references in the Bible to thou shalt not judge and those types of things. And so if somebody is using the very scripture to judge you, it's nonsense to me, beyond belief. It's nonsensical. Because, and I've had this thrown at me before because I swear. And I would love, and I put out, I would love for anybody to present me anywhere in the Bible that it says don't use the word fuck. But by you judging me for using the word fuck, it does say that in the Bible, not to judge others. So this one is a particularly head fuckery at its finest to me, when people throw out at you forms of scripture as if to educate you, which is also a minimization, because I know more than you. Look at my hoity position of knowledge and knowing, and I'm so good and you're so small. So if people are judging others and using the Bible to do so, it's so hypocritical that it makes my skin crawl. It really does. So pay attention if people like throw at you scripture. As I go into part 2 of this video, which is green light communication, I want to ask again and remind you of these 2 simple sentences that you can use at any moment in time when you're having a conversation with somebody to sense whether this is green flag or red flag communication, which is, how does my body feel right now? When I'm talking to this person, how does my body feel? How does my stomach feel? Am I stomaching what they're serving? Is this, no? Is my breath shorter and more depleted? Am I feeling tense? Is there tension in my shoulders and my shoulder blades sucked in? Am I fidgeting? Is there a sense of discomfort? Is my forehead squeezed? You know, are you getting the furrow like I get, where I'm like, the confusion, I'm coming in upon myself. I was known for my furrow. I'm trying to soothe that baby out. And then ask the next question, which again goes into the furrow. Our third eye is our intuitive center. So if you're furrowing like me, it's like literally shutting down your third eye. It's shutting down your communication from the spirit world of your intuitive knowings. So sometimes you just know things. That's your intuition. I just know this situation to be off. I just know that this happened. You know, I now, because I have been working so incredibly hard since my spiritual awakening on trusting my intuitive voice again and listening to that I'm like eye wide open, you know, instead of the eyes wide shut, eyes wide open, eye wide open, because I'm going to trust this one a lot more than I'm going to trust these 2 now. And I've learned the hard way that when you shut this one down and pay attention only to this one, you're getting like next to no information, whatever. Trust this one. Trust the knowings that you get, even if you have zero proof. You know, if something is saying this, you know, your hairs are all standing up on end and you're like, this dude's lying. This is a bold-faced lie. Trust that. Trust that. If you walk into a room and you're like, get the out of here immediately. This is not where you belong. Trust that. Get out. It's people that learn to trust, and the problem is through all these red flag communications is our intuitive center has been shut down over time, and that's a narcissist's win, you know, when they have managed to make you question your reality so much that you no longer trust in your own intuitive knowings, then they have superseded and got control over you. And so we need to break that cycle and step back into trusting self. So I want to talk also about some green flag communications, because we can look at what we don't want, but what do we want? So green flags communication, to me, number 1, starts with accountability, ownership. I don't know why the church came up with this notion of, you know, confess your sins and then all of a sudden you're absolved of them. Now, that's not how it works. You know, you actually have to take ownership and like alter the behavior. You can't just like go in on Sunday and say, excuse me, Father, I have sinned. I've lied to my wife 15 times and I've had 4 affairs this last week. Okay, you're forgiven. Off you go. And then you go and do it all again. Yeah. That's not accountability. Accountability means recognizing when somebody says to you, hey, listen, I recognize that what I did hurt you. And I'm really sorry about that, and I'm going to not do that again. I'm going to learn from this mistake and alter my behavior. That is taking ownership, and that is taking accountability. That's how you actually absolve your karma. So if you're wondering how you absolve karma, because you've created some bad karma in your life, it is you do different. You actually own it. You like, I did it. I'm putting my hand up. I 100% did that. My bad. And people that can do that are the bravest people that I've ever met, is people that can put their hand up and say, listen, my bad. I really, really did that. And I can see and understand your perspective in the situation. And I have now learned that I won't do that again, because I don't want to make anyone feel like that, because I actually do care about you and I actually do love you. So I'm going to alter my behavior now so that I'm showing up in an energy that's going to be a lot more aware, a lot more self-awareness. So self-awareness also comes down to third eye. You got to take that eye and you got to look within. You don't just look without, you look within as well, so that we can all take accountability. And listen, we've all made mistakes. Every single person on this planet has made mistakes. Find me one that hasn't. And it's through our mistakes that we learn. But if we don't learn from them, we'll just keep repeating them. If we don't take this third eye and look within and at our own shadow and own what we do, then we'll never do differently. You know, we have to become self-aware, and self-awareness happens through this process of third eye. Because third eyes come up so much in this video, I'm going to highly recommend you hop into my chakra playlist and find the third eye video that I did there. Chakra playlist, third eye video. Go watch that one after this one. I'll tag it when it's finally uploaded. Number 2, throat chakra. I already talked about this. The opposite of lying is honesty. And honesty, to me, is paramount to the most important thing in one of the most important things in a relationship. I look at a relationship as having 4 cornerstones. And each of those cornerstones that you build upon is the foundation for any relationship, whether it be friendship, romantic, or any business type of relationship, doesn't matter. You need to have honesty, you need to have integrity, you need to have honorability, and you need to have respect. If you don't have those 4 cornerstones, your house is going to sink like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So, yes. Honesty is something that means more to me than anything when it comes to relationships, because I am an exceptionally honest person, to the point where I've been told it's a fault. Literally, people have asked me through the years, you know, why are you so blunt? Why are you so direct? And well, I figured it out. It's because I'm on the autistic spectrum, and I think that it's an upgrade. So while many people might tap dance around you and have all this nuance and word salad, there's nothing more irritating to me than word salad, which is why most politicians annoy the crap out of me, because they talk a lot of lovely words that don't mean anything. And this happens everywhere in society, that we use words incorrectly. We use words to imply something, but when in application, that's not actually what we're doing. And so I find the misuse of words dishonest. For example, the word open door policy. I'm sure many people have worked for a corporation that says, hey, listen, we have an open door policy, and you know damn well not to go in that door and report anything, because it's going to get you absolutely nowhere except for have your file flagged. Capitalism, socialism, there's a couple more. I'm just throwing out some words that are very badly used. But in a relationship, there are many words and many ways that people tap dance around the truth and don't show up authentically and in honest communication. And listen, I don't want somebody to be here that doesn't want to be here. Right? So if somebody is showing up and going out of obligation, there's another word that annoys me. Or, you know, oh, we're family, so we have to do this certain thing, you know. There's another word, family, is another word that people don't use honestly, because there's this expectation that you need to do certain things, be certain things, say certain things in this certain circumstance. For example, Thanksgiving we just had, and so a lot of people feel obliged to go to a Thanksgiving meal when it's the last thing they want to do. So that's not honest. You're depriving yourself and you're depriving your family of the honest truth, which is, I don't like being here, and I'm going to go somewhere where I do like being. So to be honest, to be authentic, to be in truthful energy requires courage beyond you can possibly imagine. It's the most courageous thing you can do, is to show up in the world with honesty and say to people, no, I don't want to do that. Why? Because I don't want to. I'm not going to participate in that activity. Why? Because I have a problem with it. But everybody else is doing it. Yeah? So if everybody else jumps off a bridge, does that mean I'm going to? No. I'm going to do me. And I'm going to speak me too. So I highly recommend that if you're wanting a relationship with me, that's what is going to have to be required, is honest reciprocation. Number 3 is respect. And again, one of those cornerstones of a relationship. If you're not respecting the other individual or not feeling respected, as Aretha Franklin once said, sang that song, just give me a little of R-E-S-P-C-T. Respect is absolutely paramount, and respect is something that is derived from within first. When we start to respect ourselves and respect our truths and respect our intuition, then we're showing up in mind, thought, and deed in a respectful manner as well. Everything becomes in alignment. So look at ways that you may be disrespecting yourself, and you disrespect for yourself every time you tell a white lie or do something out of obligation or don't trust in that intuition. That's not respecting self. And again, that's challenging work. Integrity. Another one of my cornerstones of foundations of integrity incorporates a lot of the other things. It incorporates trust. It incorporates truth. It incorporates respect. It incorporates all of these things. But integrity goes beyond that and says, listen, I'm going to live my life ethically, morally, and responsibly. Because we can respond ably, and ABLE program ties into that. Watch some of those videos, perhaps, because when we show up for ourselves with integrity and give ourselves what we need, then we can show up in the world with integrity for other people and make ethically sound decisions. And society as a whole needs a lot more all about me, and a lot more what is ethically responsible and moral for the entire community as a large. And yes, while my truth and being in alignment with my truth is necessary to be in alignment with ethics, I'm not going to breach other people's or accept from other people's unethical guides, and I had to make a very difficult ethical choice this year. And I struggled with that one. And ethics is not something that comes easy to do the right thing. But doing the right thing is ultimately going to be part of your own hero's journey, your own healing path. And you will be tested. A lot of people talk about how God tests us, and that's how I have certainly felt in my spiritual awakening, is being tested multiple times over, of what choice are you going to make in this situation, and what choice are you going to make in this situation. And each time you're presented with these options, sit in meditation and do that work, that self-awareness work, and sit with what resonates as truth and vibrates with you at a higher energy. So making difficult choices is, if I observe somebody that's going to do the difficult right choice, I'd rather be with that person than somebody that's going to make the easy wrong choice. Easy wrong choices are easy. They're usually also self-absorbed and not for the betterment of the family unit or the relationship or the business. So be aware that integrity plays a massive role in healthy relationships. Concise communication, not something I'm always good at, because I have always felt a need to almost present my arguments to be heard, because when you're raised by a narcissistic individual, it's almost like you have to present an essay to say, these are the reasons why I want to be me and do this thing, and these are my bullet points of why it's necessary, and here's my thesis paper on my right to feel what I want to feel, or my right to be what I want to be, or my right to do what I want to do. And so the more you practice and open the communication sensor, the more concise you can become. You no longer need to respond to friend with like long paragraphs of why you don't want to go to their house on the weekend. You can just be like, no. And you don't need to make up a bullshit answer either. No, I'm busy because I have to, what do I have to say I have to do? You don't owe anybody an explanation. You just have to say no. So the more concise you can be, and more to the point you can be, the more likely you're dealing with somebody who is presenting to you their truth in a way that can be, our minds are becoming bite-sized information through social media. So the more concise that somebody is, if somebody's coming at you with long paragraphs, it might get lost in translation. There's just way too much to pull apart there. So concise and to the point is a green flag. Somebody who can be very concise is somebody I respect. The directness is something that I respect, and I aspire to be like more and more myself, because my videos aren't a minute in length. My videos are long. I'm a work in progress too. We all are. Clear communication. So again, this kind of ties into what I was talking about with word salad, is when somebody says lots of things and none of the things that they're saying really add up to much. They're standing at a pulpit, they're telling you this, that, and the other, and you're like, just get to the fucking point already. And what is it? Are we going to vote this way? Or are we going to vote that way? Are you going to, what are you promising us? And our own Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is known for non-clear communication. He's the word salad meister. But we need more people that can show up in the world. It's very clear. Just say it how it is. Just hit me over the head with it. I would always rather be hit over the head with something clear, even if it's unpleasant but truthful, than something that sounds flowery and butterflies and this and that makes absolutely no. It's like gobbledygook and no. What's the point? Yes. So clear communication. Number 7, understanding. Is there a mutual understanding happening? And this can be observed through techniques like mirroring. So if you say to somebody, I love hot coffee, and it's whatever, it's a silly example, and they're like, oh, okay, I understand you like hot coffee. Can I make you a hot coffee? Okay, so you see, there was a natural flow there. So if somebody's not hearing what you're saying, let's say it's something, a more difficult thing, I'm feeling hurt. Well, I think this, that, or the other. Okay, well, wait a second. What happened to my hurt? Understanding is staying on point and mirroring back to the other person. So there is a sense of validation and a sense of an awareness, because when two people are on the same page, they can resolve something. But when two people are in two different books, they're not getting anywhere. So, you might be in a relationship where you're in the life of Pi and they're in Disneyland. So, or Pinocchio. Oh, there's a good one that shows a lack of understanding is Peter Pan. Somebody who has the archetype of Peter Pan that never grows up and is always in an energy of wanting to be a child and playful. And you're in the encyclopedia. You guys aren't resonating at an understanding on the same level. So, kind of think about it in a metaphorical way of what book am I in? What book are you in? Because are we even on the same shelf in the library, the same department? Are we even in the same library? Number 8 is assertive communication. So assertive incorporates a lot of these other things I've said. I talked in the the red flag list about aggressive communication. You know, red flag communications are aggressive, passive aggressive, passive. And I didn't really mention passive, but passive would fall into the category of like silent treatment and stonewalling. You know, I'm just not going to talk. And passive aggressive would fall into the category of like backhanded compliments. And, you know, I'm going to say something that sounds kind of nice, and at the same time, it's kind of mean. So those three things are red flag communication. The opposite of that is assertive communication, which is stating how you truly feel in a clear, concise manner, so that you can be understood calmly, rationally. Yep. I'm just going to insert my truth here, and hope that there will be an understanding that comes with that. And number 9, polite. Politeness is a value that still has a place. And so that means it goes against the name calling, because name calling isn't polite. And it goes against the use of swearing. And listen, I love swearing. You know I love swearing. I probably have Tourette's, but, you know, whatever. I'm not going to go and try to get another diagnosis or anything. But I find the use of swear words very useful in a time and a place. The time that it's useful is when I'm talking about stuff that uses words like fuckery or in a way that makes sense. But I'm not in a one-on-one communication with somebody that is trying to solve a problem going to use swear words, because as soon as you swear in a conflict situation, you've lost your argument. And I learned that lesson many, many years ago. So if you're in a heated debate with somebody and you start going, for fuck's sakes, you've lost the argument. You no longer hold any power. You've negated your own personal power to the other person, and they will stop listening to you. So hold your swears to fun conversations with people, or nice YouTube videos where you're describing the twin flame journey. But reserve them when you are having a heated debate with somebody, because especially don't ever call them names that are swear names, because then you've definitely lost. You no longer have a foot to stand on if you turn around and go, you're an asshole. Even if they may be an asshole. They may be an asshole. Reserve that for later on when you're in your journal or whatever. Oh my God, they're such a fucking asshole. But if you call somebody that in an argument, you're not going to get your point across, because it's no longer assertive communication. You've now moved into aggressive communication, because swearing at somebody is aggressive. Swearing in general usage is just using colorful language. There's a difference. I hope that this red flag, green flag list of communication helps assist you in identifying toxic communication, because that's the most challenging thing on this path of healing that we may find ourselves on, trying to get out of toxic situations, is understanding what toxic communication even sounds like, or what it feels like, which comes back to the question that I'm going to leave you with before I sign off, which is, how does it feel in your body? How does it feel when you talk to this person? How does it feel after you talk to this person? Does it feel when you were with this person? How does it feel? Does it resonate as truth? Does it sense? Does your intuitive sense say something is amiss here? So yes, check in with your heart, check in with your third eye when you've had heated debates with people, and that's where you will gain the most level of information from. But knowing this list is important, and it's certainly been important for me on my journey, because through identifying what negative or toxic communication sounds like, I've been able to identify it while it's happening, because while it's happening, you might feel like head fuckeries are going down and you're so confused, and I don't understand, and I don't feel well, and what's happening, and what's real, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So get yourself safe and into a place of mutual respect in relationships where you are having green flag communications, because you deserve green flag communications. You do not deserve any red flag communications, and those are the flags to get out of that boardroom and into another. And that's what I wanted to expose in today's full moon energy, is draw the curtain back on some of the manipulative tools that others might be using against you. If you need help on your awakening path and you want to book a one-on-one Zoom with me because you think, hey, wait a second, I might be in a toxic relationship. I could be. I think I need to talk to B. Then reach out and set up a one-on-one Zoom with me. All of my services are by donation. The way to get in touch with me is to email me at justbebeing. The email will be in the description below. Find me on Facebook as Be Freedom, and or hop into the Spiritual Warriors support group. Link for that is in the description below, and maybe me or some of the other warriors in there can help validate if you have a question about, hey, this is what happened to me and I'm not really sure what's going down. Could I get some opinions? And all the warriors in there, well, not all of them, some of them are quiet. Some of the warriors in there will be able to help and assist you with your questions. With that all said, I want to say thank you, and thank you for all of the donations that have come in. If you are wanting to donate, the way to do that, the links are in the description below. If you enjoy this content that I'm providing for you, I really, really appreciate, because, this has kind of been my life's work for the last 3 years, and I have no idea where Spirit's taking me, but I do appreciate recognition that what I'm bringing out into the world is useful information. So that said, thank you for all of the likes, the shares, and the comments. I absolutely adore your comments, and I'm sending you all my absolute love on this full moon energy that we are sitting in, and what is it exposing for you? Peace out.